So I'm on the Gold Coast in Australia, and we're smack bang in the middle of the elusive December 21st. I haven't done any recordings about it to date or so far because I feel like I didn't know enough about it, and there's so many out there from amazing people that you just certainly don't need me to explain it or give you my 2 cents on it. But here I am, I'm about to do that anyway, but just briefly. So I did a lot of research on it when it first came up earlier on in the year that this was coming. And then I, looked a lot into the Aboriginal aspect. And of course, and that was amazing. All of that, actually it really opened my eyes to the Dreamtime and Aboriginal culture. Sadly, I could say that it's not something that I had ever really looked into before, and, quite possibly could find some of our greatest truths. The Aboriginal people potentially are the oldest in the world, on the globe. Well, depending on how you look at all that, because, of course, this year I've looked at many different potential Earth histories and galactic histories, and looking at those stories, we're talking about Martians and Palladians and all sorts of things, so won't worry about getting into that because then it gets very confusing. But suffice to say, the Aboriginals' take on 21st of December is truly fascinating, and that's about where I left it. And then as it drew closer, I started looking into it a little bit more. I always just look at what comes to me. I believe that Source sends me what I need to see. So I'm not like I was at the beginning of the year, avidly researching everything and looking under every rock. I take a really big step back and I send it into my new earth. I moved from Melbourne to the Gold Coast, and I believe I'm already in my 5D reality because, I'm just in heaven every day. My whole life is changed. And I wait for what I need to know to come to me. So that's what I'm going to base what I'm about to share with you now. And it's very simple, actually. All it is obviously there's a few different things going on astrologically, which is certainly not my forte, knowing about astrology, so I won't even pretend. But of course, it is about that, obviously. That's what it's all about. So the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn, this great conjunction. Now, there's 2 things going on here. Actually, there's more than 2, but I'm just going to talk about the 2. So obviously, the first one is the 20 years. So every 20 years, there's this conjunction, and the astrological gurus will tell us that this is what sets the trajectory for the next 20 years. It sets the trajectory for yourself, where you're at, but also as a planet. So keeping that in mind is really interesting because we're looking at something else going on here, which is the beginning of the age of Aquarius, which I believe is a shifting of a cycle, which is, I think it's 2,060 years that we've been in the previous cycle, and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. So it's something that's that we've waited 2,060 years, or happens every 2,060 years to occur. And these 2 things are happening at the same time. The age of Aquarius to be related to our 5D ascension, or you could say our movement into the golden age, or the kingdom of heaven, or creating the new earth, or shifting the entire human consciousness up a level. However you put it, everyone's talking about all these different versions of the change of what's happening to the humans as we shift into the age of Aquarius. So you've got those 2 things. So basically, this is what I've gleaned from all the information that I've heard. So as the humans ascend into this new conjunction, this age of Aquarius, we free ourselves. We come into our sovereign being. We I have come to learn that we are gods. We are powerful. We can create planets. We can do anything. We can do absolutely anything. And it's become very clear to me that we have been held back for, I don't know how long, centuries, millions of years. I don't know, hundreds of years, 5 minutes, who knows? Time doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. But we have been held back and almost like held captive by some kind of dark forces. Now, to get that, obviously, we're beginning to speak galactically, potentially, or we're talking people on this planet, but it's obvious that it's galactic. It's obvious that it's galactic. So I'm just going to go with that. So we've been held captive, drained of energy, source power, anything, I don't know, by these dark forces, and they have basically put us into a matrix, into a construct that literally stops us from tapping into our own higher self, our own power. And not only that, they're keeping us away from each other now. And obviously 2020 hit like bang. Literally day one, it started for me and my family. Like I was looking at Instagram yesterday and I noticed January 1st, there's a picture of my daughter and my husband with masks on their face in the fires. You know, we didn't even know that the pandemic was coming at that point, that the whole planet was going to be potentially wearing masks. But we put on one of those things day one. So it's come clear to all, so many of us, that 2020 has played out to do one thing, to stop us from connecting to our power, to our higher self. And why? Why is that? Because of December 21st, or the movement into the age of Aquarius, or the conjuncture, or whatever it is. But it's the shift, because where we're at that time of the shift is what will set the trajectory for not only yourself individually, but also us collectively as a planet. So this year, they have done everything to keep us in fear, to keep us in divide, to keep us in anger, also to keep us in research, because everything's confusing. You want to learn about masks or herd immunity, or you want to hear about the tunnels, or you want to hear about so many things. I mean, there's so much to learn, so much stuff out there to research. We're all glued to our phones researching, getting to the bottom of all this stuff, but there doesn't seem to be a bottom. All of it is just stopping us from meditating, for example. It's stopping us from understanding that we want to be in vibration, in love and peace and high vibration at the end of this year, so that we can shift into the new cycle and set the tone for the next 20 years, if you're talking about, the 3D matrix that we're running around in, or the next over 2,000 years when we're speaking galactically and we're talking Age of Aquarius style. So in essence, what I'm saying here is this: all you need to do today is keep your vibration high. Be in the love and peace vibration. Don't do any judging or worrying about the people who are driving around in their car by themselves with their mask on or anything like that, or feeling sad that you're fighting with a neighbour or anything. Have compassion for all of the people, all of the humans, because we all deserve to live in abundance, in love, in joy, the whole thing. The only reason that a human that you might be having problems with seems to be in a negative space or a different space to you is because they haven't been given everything they need to have all the joy and happiness that they deserve, because the dark forces have kept us in this continual place of scarcity and fear and programming, the media, or poisoning with our water and our food, injecting ourselves in our children the minute we're born with heavy metals. Like, it's just constant. And then, of course, even the little things like keeping us in this consumer mentality to keep that wheel turning. Like, even Christmas, I noticed, like yesterday I was thinking about it. I was watching my little children. I've got 3 little kids. Now watching a Christmas show, and then I noticed this ongoing thread with all of them, which is about presents. What am I going to get? What are you going to get for Christmas? Gifts. You see the TV, the imagery, it's just presents, wrapping, ribbons, the whole thing. Like, what I believe is happening with that is that we're programming the children, or us little humans, at their most vulnerable stage to connect to needing stuff, like creating that excitement, that need, because it's exciting. That's the most exciting thing that happens to you every year is Santa Claus, and you get a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I know I might be sounding like I'm going overboard here, but I saw it very clearly. I saw it in the programming, and I saw how it had changed my children, how they just want stuff. Like, they don't really need stuff. Like, they have stuff, and they usually just play with pencils and paper. But they want that feel, that emptiness that we all do when we do shopping therapy or whatever. I think that maybe the whole Christmas and the whole Santa Claus thing was created to start the process of creating little mini consumers, so that we have a consumerist type economy where we're in there working our butts off to buy stuff that we don't need. And it just goes around and around and around, and we're all caught up in this wheel. There's businesses busily trying to create this stuff. You're not even just working 24/7 to buy the stuff that you don't need, that actually doesn't make you happy, but you think it does because of all of the programming that's been coming at you, starting with probably Santa Claus. But you also have all the people working in businesses to create this stuff, in jobs that they hate, to create this stuff so that they can create it for you to buy, for them to get money, for them to buy. I mean, it's just this whole big cycle. It just goes on and on. I know I've started probably going a little bit sideways in this one, so I'll bring it in back. Essentially, what I'm saying is that we should all have compassion for each other, because it's not any of our faults. It's none of our faults. The humans are born happy, they're born free, they're born in love, they're born loving. We all, if you've had children or you've been around children, you know that. You've seen it. But it just starts to fall apart when you get the external matrix coming at them. And we do it to them ourselves as parents, because we think we have to in order to get them to fit in. We're all caught up in it. Anyway, the point and the end of this is just to say it's the 21st of December. Try not to think of all that stuff. Just be alerted to it, like I've just alerted you to it, and stay in a high vibration. Stay in the love vibration. We are shifting a whole collective human consciousness into a brand new earth. Stay connected to that. Put your spiritual votes into that narrative, into that timeline, and it's going to be amazing. And I love you all, and I'll see you later.